This tutorial will be on multiple alleles. Now, what does this word mean? This happens when there are 3 or more genes in the population to control the inheritance of one trait. The example that we are going to be looking at is blood types. In the human population, there are 3 genes that exist. Each person will inherit 2 genes, one from each parent. Now, the genes in the human population are going to be represented by the same letters that are used to designate the actual blood type. The genes are going to be gene A and B. Both of these are dominant. And then the gene O, which is going to be recessive. These 3 genes will produce 4 different blood types in the human population. Blood type A, blood type B, AB, and O. And again, don't be confused because the same letters that are representing the blood types are also going to be representing the alleles. So if we look at this table that I have set up for you, we're going to identify what are the different genotypes for each of the blood types. For blood type A, a person could be homozygous dominant or heterozygous, having the dominant A and the recessive O. For blood type B, the same thing. A person could be homozygous dominant or heterozygous. Now, AB is a special situation. The person has to have the 2 dominant genes, and in this case, both genes are going to be expressed. This is an example of what we call co-dominance. I'm just going to abbreviate it. Co-dominance. And if you're type O, the only way you can be type O is with a homozygous recessive genotype. Homozygous recessive. Now, if you have any of these blood types, what you will be producing, the phenotypic expression, is going to be a protein on the red blood cell, RBC, and we call these proteins an antigen. Now, the red blood cell is normally going to be kind of a roundish-shaped donut. I'm going to draw a red blood cell in here right now for each of the blood types. And on each of these, if you are type A, you are going to have a protein called protein A. And we're going to designate it like this, like a little mushroom. Okay? So this is protein A. If you are type B, you're going to have a different protein that we're going to designate like this with a little tent shape. This is protein B. If you are AB, you're going to have both of them, as I mentioned before. This being an example of codominance, you will have both protein A and protein B. And if you are type O, you do not produce either protein A or protein B. Now, in the liquid part of the blood, which is called the plasma, you are going to have specific antibodies for each of these blood types. If you are type A, you're going to have anti-B, and anti-B is shaped to fit on the B protein. So this is anti-B. If you are type B, you're going to have anti-A, which is going to be specific to shape to fit on that A protein. So this is anti-A. If you are AB, since you have both proteins, you're not going to have either anti-A nor anti-B. So none, neither one. But if you are type O, you don't have either protein, so you are going to have both anti-A and anti-B. Now, You do not want the antibody to get together with the protein. That would cause a disaster. It would cause a clumping reaction that would impede blood flow and result in death. So when giving a transfusion, you have to be aware of the antigens and the antibodies in the plasma. And keep in mind, when we're talking about transfusion, we're not giving whole blood. For the most part, you're going to be receiving just the red blood cells, unless you have a major case of blood loss, then you might be given plasma also. So when we're talking about transfusions, let's concentrate just on the transfusion of the red blood cells. And what you have to remember is that you do not want the blood cells of the donor to react with the antibodies in the plasma of the recipient. So keep that in mind all the time. So who can the blood types give to? Blood type A can give to anybody that does not have anti-A in its plasma. So that means blood type A can give to A, and it can give to AB. Again, B can give to anybody that does not have anti-B in its plasma. So B can give to B, and it can give to AB. Now, AB has both antigens, so the only one it can give to is AB. O, since it doesn't have any protein, any antigen on its red blood cell, it can give to all blood types. So it can give to A, B, AB, and O, making it the universal donor. Now, who can they receive from? Again, you need to check the antibody in the plasma, make sure it does not react with the antigens on the red blood cell of the donor. So type A has anti-B, so it cannot give to anybody that has the B protein. That means it can only give to A and O. Type B has anti-A. It cannot give to anybody that has the A protein, so that means it can only give to B and O. Now, AB does not have either antibody in its plasma, so it can, we're talking about receiving. It can receive from A, B, AB, and O. It's the universal recipient. Whereas O has both antibodies, so it can only receive from O. In addition to understanding the proteins that determine blood type, there's another protein that also has to be considered when giving a transfusion, and that's called the Rh factor. This is also going to be found on the red blood cells, but it's determined by a different pair of alleles that are carried on a separate pair of chromosomes. So they're inherited independent of the blood types. Now, if you have the protein, you're going to be Rh positive. If you don't have the protein, you're going to be Rh negative. And the genes that are going to be determining positive or negative, the dominant gene is going to make for the positive condition. The recessive gene is going to make for the negative condition. So if we're looking at Rh positive and Rh negative, the genotypes that can determine each of these using the letters in our key. If you're Rh positive, you can be homozygous, dominant, or you can be heterozygous. But if you're negative, you have to be homozygous recessive. So this means if you're positive, the Rh antigen is present. If you are negative, the Rh antigen is absent. Now, who can you give to and who can you receive from? If you are positive, you can only give to Rh positive. If you are negative, you can give to Rh positive and Rh negative. If you are positive, you can receive from both Rh positive and Rh negative. But if you are negative, you can only receive from Rh negative. Since you do not have the antigen, if you receive it, your body will automatically build antibodies against it. That's why negative can only receive from negative. Now, the best type of blood we mentioned before, the universal donor, is O. Now we have to specify O negative is going to be the best to give to everybody. Universal donor. Now we can use blood types to make Punnett squares, and you're going to be following the same procedure that I explained to you in the previous tutorial. So here's an example from your textbook of a person who is heterozygous for A blood type crossed with a person who is heterozygous for B blood type. So the alleles for the A person would be A and O, and for the B person would be B and O. And as you can see, with this particular combination of parents, you can actually produce each of the blood types, AB, B, A, and O. So your ratios would be 1/4 chance of producing each of the different blood types from this combination of parents.